Good morning, 3EB. Do you know, it's ever so strange when I say good morning, because when I make these little videos, I'm making them either in the afternoon or the evening of the day before you watch them. That's why I put the light on, it's actually quite dark. So it's really weird saying good morning when I'll be going to bed soon. But never mind, good morning. For you, it's Thursday, and just two things really. A reminder about your discovery of the world and some maths. Now, the maths that I'm going to talk about, I actually spoke about with the first group yesterday in our meeting to quite a large degree. So you guys can, when we do that, you can switch off, and there's nothing else after that on the video. You can switch off because you've already done it, unless you want to listen again. Okay, but the second group, so the children like with Luca, Lawrence, David, Ginevra, you guys who were in the second meeting yesterday, the 11:30 meeting yesterday, I'm pretty sure I didn't talk about this with you. We were talking about so many other things, I think I missed it. So some of you can tune out early. Okay, so maybe if I just start with a discovery of the world, that is to, if you've opened up your assignment today, you will see it's reminding you about the research mini project that we spoke about in the meeting yesterday. Okay, so that's just a reminder. There's a list there to tell you what to include. So once you've chosen your river, include the name, where the source is, what country the source is in, where is the mouth, so into which body of water, which sea, which ocean, which lake does your river flow, where does it finish its journey, what countries does it flow through? Maybe it's only in one country, but a lot of the world famous rivers, if they're very long, they tend to flow through more than one country. Does it flow through any famous cities? Like we looked at a picture yesterday of the River Thames flowing through London, for example. Does it flow through any famous cities? And then anything else interesting that you think would be good to include in your project. Okay, and you can be creative about how you present it, whether you make a little film like this and try and send it to me, see if it works, whether you make an audio recording, whether you make a poster, write it all down, do something on the computer, you decide. Okay, great, so that's that. Now I'm going to talk about this maths. So anybody that thinks, yeah, I did this yesterday, talking about how many millilitres there are in a litre, if you want to listen again, listen again. If not, if you sorted with it, then bye, go do it. Okay, right. So those of us that didn't talk about this yesterday, this looks a little bit like the work activity sheet that you've got today. Pretty sure it's today, and I've got muddled up. I think this is today's one. And it's about, it sort of brings together our work on fractions and our work on capacity. Okay, so the idea is that you collect 10 different containers, they are containers, but containers of things that you might have in your kitchen cupboards or your bathroom cupboards. So you've got to get permission, first of all, to go and get some things out. Excuse me. Excuse me. Another one? No, it's gone. But the important thing is you choose items whose measurement is in millilitres or litres, okay, not in grams, okay, because we're working with capacity. So I've got a few different ones out here, bottles and tubes of different things, okay? So about 10. Then what you've got to do is decide which capacity group each one of these would fit into, assuming that it's when it's full. Okay, so you don't need to measure it out at all. You go on the measurement that's on the bottle for showing you when it's full, how much it has in. Okay, so let's have a look. This one is 250 millilitres, okay, of shampoo. Right, so I've got to decide 250 millilitres, is that about half a litre? Is it the same as a litre? Is it more than a litre? Is it less than a quarter of a litre? Is it more than a quarter of a litre but less than half a litre? Okay, so for some of you that might be easy, but for others of us we might need to have a little bit of a think about the relationship between millilitres and litres and fractions of litres. So first of all, can you remember, as a reminder, how many millilitres there are in 1 litre? Yes, if you said 1,000, you're right. So I'm going to write that down as a reminder. Yep, you can see that up there. 1,000 millilitres equals 1 litre. Okay, so for instance, if I go back to this shampoo at 250 millilitres, 250 is nowhere near as much as 1,000, so that's certainly not a litre, is it? Okay, so let me have a think about fractions of litres. What about half a litre? Okay, so half a litre is going to be half of this 1,000 millilitres, isn't it? So what's half of 1,000? Yeah, 500. Okay, so 500 millilitres is half a litre. If I go back to my shampoo, 250 millilitres, remember? No, it's not close enough really, it must go somewhere else. So I've got other ones that refer to a quarter of a litre. On your sheet, you've got more boxes than this to choose from as well. Let's go over here. A quarter of a litre. Okay, so let's have a think. A quarter of a litre means I've got to split my litre, my 1,000 millilitres, into 4 equal parts. Another way of thinking about it, which might be easier, is that we talked before about a quarter being half of a half. Yeah, if you think about a pizza and you want a quarter of it, you go half, and then you put across half again, don't you? Okay, half and half of halves are quarters. So if a quarter is a half of a half, and I know that a half is 500 millilitres, a quarter is going to be half of that, isn't it? Okay, so what's half of 500? Bit harder. We'll have a think about that. We'll help you out if that's tricky. Half of 500. Somebody in the first group yesterday, very clever, it's Adelina. She said, I know, a half of 50, oops, going the wrong way, a half of 50 is 25. And then I'm going to add a 0 on because I want 10 groups of that. So we'll go with Adelina's top tip from yesterday. 250 millilitres is a quarter, okay? Now if you need to come back to any of those reminders, you know that that is on here on your video, okay? So you can always check that out. So let's go back to that shampoo. Right, 280 millilitres. No, sorry. 250 millilitres. I need my glasses, don't I? 250 millilitres. Woohoo! 250 millilitres. It's spot on 1/4 of a litre. Trust me, I've not put the box on for about 1/4 of a litre, so let's just put it on here. Okay, so about 1/4 of a litre. That's what my shampoo is, because 1/4 of a litre is 250 millilitres. That's what that is. So I'm either going to write in shampoo or I might draw the bottle. Okay, I don't care what you choose to do as long as you record your results. So the shampoo, and I'm also just going to prove that it should be there. My bottle of shampoo is 250 millilitres. You might get other things out that aren't 250, so don't just copy mine unless you happen to pick something that's also 250 millilitres. Okay. Let's have a look at my cream. Okay, I've got my cream there. Got to find how many millilitres it is. I can see it's not a litre. Right, 200 millilitres. 200 millilitres. Okay, so it's less than 250 millilitres, which means it's less than 1/4 of a litre. Yeah? So it's in that one, isn't it? Less than 1/4 of a litre. Okay? So I'm going to put cream. I can write it or I can draw it, but I am going to make sure that I show what the capacity is, 200 millilitres. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Oh, that's very British. Some salad cream. It's a bit like mayonnaise. Some salad cream. Quite a big bottle. I wonder if it's a litre. Let's have a look. 570 millilitres. So my estimate was way off, of course. 570 millilitres. Now, if it was 500, it would be half a litre. It's 570, so it's quite close. It's not far off about half a litre, but have I got anything that would be better? On your sheet, do you know what? There will be a box which is better. And again, trust me that I haven't prepared this one. Maybe I could just fit it in here. So you should find on your sheet that you'll have a box that will say more than half a litre, more than half a litre. That's scruffy. You can just about see that. But less than a litre. Less than 1 litre. It'll be much neater on your sheet. Litre and neat. That rhymes, doesn't it? Okay, so this is a good example of something that would fit well into that category. It's more than half a litre because 570 millilitres is more, okay, than half a litre, more than 500 millilitres. But it's still quite a bit less than 1 litre, less than 1,000 millilitres, okay? So in there, I would write or draw my salad cream, okay? Right, I think I've done probably enough to help you. Just one more though. What about this? Right, this is Té a la Pesca, peach iced tea. It's 1.5 litres. Ooh, 1.5. Okay, so 1 whole litre, 0.5 of a litre. Last week we talked about 0.5 meaning a half of something. But even if I'd forgotten that, I can see it's 1 and a bit more litres. So that is going to have to go into the more than 1 litre section, isn't it? Okay, so if you get a decimal, don't let that throw you off. Okay, all sorts of things here. I've got a can of Sprite, 500 millilitres. Where would that go? Not telling you. And I've got some, this is some like spray that's to try and put head lice off it being in your hair. Don't know if it works. 100 millilitres. 100 millilitres. So think about where that would go. 100 millilitres. It would go in there as well, wouldn't it? Less than, oh no, sorry, that was a quarter of a litre. I want the less than a quarter. It would go in here, sorry, less than a quarter of a litre if it's only 100 millilitres. Okay, because it's less than 250. So what you might find is that you end up with some of the boxes might have more than one thing in, 2 or 3, 4 things in. You might even end up with an empty box. Okay, just depends on the about 10 items that you choose to use. Okay, so don't worry if you've got lots of things in one box and end up at the end of the activity with a box or more than one box empty. Okay, the important thing is that you have a good look and you start to think about fractions of litres and how that converts into millilitres. Okay, so it brings together our work on fractions and our work on capacity. Right, that's enough, I think. So enjoy your work. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, and we'll hook up again later. Okay, bye everybody.